Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the channel. Oh, the Ilblurmatic. Welcome back, guys, to another installment of Ilblurmatic, and today we're gonna do episode 2 review on what if T'Challa became a Starlord. Man, let's get right into this episode. And I gotta say, this episode was really done really unique. I had some insecurities about the episode. I was like, I don't know, if this is gonna pull off. But let's talk about this episode. This episode starts off with Starlord doing as usual, collecting his bounty, okay? But who are we seeing as Starlord? T'Challa! Shockingly. We see T'Challa come across a foe, and it seems like it's a little different this time because we're used to seeing, T'Challa just being the type of person he is. I did like that T'Challa was his own character as Starlord and not like Quill Starlord. Don't get me wrong. There are some similarities. They're very charming, okay? But I like that Quill had the mission, and literally he nailed the mission. He went and accomplished it. He grabbed the artifact that they were trying to get. We see him with the iconic Starlord mask or helmet, if you want to call it that. I thought that was really cool. I also like that we saw Yondu. We saw Yondu and Starlord T'Challa. It was really cool. I like when he talked to the enemy and the enemy is like, I want to refer to you as Lord. No, he's like, no, you don't have to emphasize on Lords. I was like, wow. I was like, just the dialogue was like very comical. I really like that about this episode. Also, the Ravagers, how they met T'Challa, young Prince T'Challa. Pretty much the backstory was back in 1998. T'Challa was a youngin', okay? A young man, okay? I'm just saying that. And literally, T'Challa wants to leave Wakanda. He's like, look, I've been in Wakanda all my life. And King T'Challa said, hey, all it is violence and death out here outside of the kingdom of Wakanda. And I was like, what? I was like, wow. And we can see the frustration of T'Challa having to pretty much follow his father's rules. But pretty much T'Challa finds a way out of Wakanda. He had pretty much found a way to escape. He got out of Wakanda, and what happens is the Ravagers pick him up, 2 of the Ravager members. And I thought that was really cool. We see him literally get picked up by the Ravagers members, and Yondu's like, yo, this ain't the right kid. Y'all, he's like, well, he fits the title, he's this age, and we see Yondu take pretty much a fondness or a likeness to Prince T'Challa, which I thought was really neat with this episode. I was like, cool. It seems like Yondu, even though this wasn't the right kid that the Ravagers picked up, he still was like, yo, we're going to take this kid anyway. Yondu pretty much said, hey, we're going to explore these different worlds, and you can become a part of my crew, the Ravagers, okay? What else I liked about this episode that really stood out is like what they really did with the other characters. We see cameos with Drax, the Destroyer. Drax like, I want a selfie. And in this universe, because remember, this is What If. This is a Marvel canon show. This is not the official universe. We see Drax talking about his wife and kids, and I was like, yo, Drax is living his best life in this universe, okay? I was like, my man's Drax, yo. I love how he appreciated Star-Lord, and he wanted to take a picture with him. Like, oh no, let's take another picture. I thought that was really neat. Also, like what they did with Nebula, Gamora's sister. She ends up being like Star-Lord's, I guess you could say love interest, because she called him Cha-Cha. I was like, oh shoot. Like T'Challa and Nebula got a thing. I was like, ooh. I know Gamora would be furious if she found out that her sister had a crush on her potential love interest, right? I like that they did that. She was kind of like the person that did the missions. I really like that about her. She actually had a wig on. I said, Nebula had a little flock for her, babe. I thought that was really cool with her. Also, we come across Thanos. One of the most infamous villains of Marvel, right? And in this universe, he's like, look, I'm done with trying to do genocide and everything. He's turned over a whole new leaf. Thanos has become a gardener in his life. Thanos is living his best life. It's like pretty much like in Endgame. My man's in Endgame he was a farmer, but in this life he's a gardener. I said, bruh, like these parallels right here, bruh. I thought it was really neat. And pretty much Thanos was also a part of the Ravagers. You know what I'm saying? Right along with with Nebula's sister. So his daughter, him a part of it. I thought that was really cool. Also, the guy that we saw at the beginning of the episode, which is another villain, was a part of it. So in this episode, the villains are kind of like allies with T'Challa. So the next mission is pretty much literally that T'Challa, Nebula gives them the word. This is the mission. They get this pretty much thing that pretty much brings life to planets. And literally, the thing is, the Collector has it. So we see the Collector, which I thought was really cool. The Collector, he was buff and he had the glasses. He was stylish. You know, he had like his style to himself. Like he's very stylish. And I like that about him. We see that the Collector was collecting different specimens of animals and alien specimens. And pretty much Yondu, you know, and T'Challa and the rest of the gang, Thanos and Nebula, all came up with a plan to execute. So I did like how that went down because Nebula's like, oh yeah, the Black Order, they're pretty much going to be the problem, which is Thanos' other kids, okay? So we see Thanos' other kids in this episode. We see the one that can control stuff with his mind. We see the other one that's kind of like the brute kind of member of the Black Order. We see the other female one that Black Widow fought in the movie. And I thought it was really cool to see them again in this episode. And I like how T'Challa said, hey, this is how it's going to go down. And literally, we see T'Challa face off with the Collector having all different items. I was like, it was really cool. We saw him with Helena's helmets. We seen him with other items like Cap's shield. So he's collecting not just alien specimens, animal specimens. He's collecting artifacts from Avengers and stuff. I'm like, bruh. Okay? And literally, I was like, this is really cool. So we see him kind of adapting to the stuff that he's getting. We also see an iconic team up with Yondu and Starlord, which I thought was really cool. I was like, yo, they came together to defeat pretty much the Collector, you know what I'm saying? And I like that T'Challa got like his final, like, you know, move in before he took him down, and then they trap him inside this actual cage. And pretty much his assistant, the Collector's assistant, she turned sides. And she was charmed by Prince T'Challa, okay? Also known as Starlord. And literally, we see her, you know, pretty much being tired of, you know, pretty much obeying his orders. And literally what happens is she lets out all the people and animals that he collected pretty much. And I was like, oh my God. But also in this episode, let's talk about this. The Collector also had Prince T'Challa's, one of his father's ships. And we see the Dal Malaj in it. And I think he realizes that there's a sense of emptiness. You know what I'm saying? Yes, the Ravagers are like a family to him, but that is not his real family. You know what I'm saying? Wakanda, the people of Wakanda are his family. So when he saw the ship and everything, and Nebula said, hey, yo, no offense, I did not mean for you to see this. This was not a part of the plan. So she was unaware the Collector had this ship. And he sees his father, older version of his father, telling him to come home because he's been gone. He's left Earth. He hadn't been to Earth in a while. So we see towards the end of this episode, literally, Yondu's telling him maybe you should go back home. And T'Challa's thinking about going back home. And he goes back home. And with a warm welcome with his Ravager family, meeting his Wakanda family. I thought that was really neat with this episode. And also, the last part of this episode. Oh, yes. I was waiting for this, baby. I was like, yo, y'all got to give me original Starlord. So we see Quill, you know what I'm saying, living a regular life, you know what I'm saying, working at Dairy Queen in this universe. And his father, Ego, and them connecting with one another in this episode. And I was like, wow, I really like that they did that so we could see what Quill was doing since Yondu's crew, the Ravagers, did not pick up the right kid. So I really like this episode. I think this episode, I'm going to give it a 5. I really like what they did with the episode. Like I said, T'Challa Starlord, he was charming with his words of wisdom. Whereas with Quill, he's, you know, playing music and fighting the bad guys. So there are some differences in contrast. I like what they did with Thanos in here. I also like what they did with Nebula. So they changed certain characters, you know, how they were in a particular way. I like how they introduced Drax, the Destroyer. I would have loved to see Rocket Raccoon. But no Rocket Raccoon, no Gamora. But you know what? It was still a good episode. I really enjoyed it. I cannot say anymore, but I enjoyed it. You know what I'm saying? So this is your boy, IllBlurmatic. Have you seen the latest episode of What If? You tell me in the comments, guys. Have a great day. I'm out.